Hello, welcome my dear students. Now we are going to study about how do organisms reproduce. Concept map along with that one, definitions and examples. First, what is reproduction? Reproduction is a process by which living organisms are able to produce young ones of their own kind. Why it is helpful? Why reproduction is necessary? Because to continuity of life on earth from its origin to the present day has been possible only because of reproduction. In reproduction, there are two types, asexual reproduction and sexual type of reproduction. What is asexual reproduction? It is a type of reproduction which involves the production of an offspring from a single parent without the fusion of gametes. Only single parent will be there here. So asexual reproduction mostly occurs in primitive organisms or unicellular organisms like bacteria, protozoans, etc. Some plants like algae, fungi, bryophytes, and certain multicellular animals like sponges and hydra. In this method of reproduction, the young ones receive all its genes from one parent. There are many types of asexual reproduction. The first one is fission, in that binary fission, multiple fission. Second, fragmentation, regeneration, budding, spore formation, vegetative propagation or vegetative reproduction in plants. There are two types again, natural, artificial. By natural, stolons, buds, corms, rhizomes, bulbs, tubers, suckers, adventitious buds. Artificial method, cutting, layering, grafting. First, let us start fission. What is fission? Fission may be defined as splitting of a unicellular organism into two or more than two separate daughter cells. This is the definition of fission. It involves two types, binary fission, multiple fission. What is binary? Bi means two, fission separating. Two cells, two daughter cells will be formed. This is the division of parent cell into two small, nearly equal sized identical daughter cells. Examples, amoeba, leishmania. What is multiple fission? Many individuals are formed from a single parent is called multiple fission. Example, plasmodium. Second type of asexual mode of reproduction, fragmentation. Some multicellular organisms having simple body organization reproduce by breaking of their bodies into small pieces. Each of these pieces is called a fragment. These fragments grow into new individuals and the mode of reproduction is called fragmentation. Example, Spirogyra. Next, regeneration. Many fully differentiated organisms have the ability to give rise to new individual organisms from their body parts. For example, simple animals like Hydra and Planaria can be cut into any number of pieces and each piece grows into complete organism. This is known as regeneration. Next is budding. Budding may be defined as production of new individual from an outgrowth of the parent individual. Budding occurs in yeast, some protozoans and certain lower animals. Spore formation. A spore is a single or several celled reproductive structure that detaches from the parent and gives rise directly or indirectly to a new individual. Reproduction by the formation of spores is a common method of a asexual reproduction in some bacteria and most of the fungi. Spores are unicellular bodies formed by the cell division in the parent organism. Spores are generally very small and light, thereby easily dispersed by wind, water and animals. Some have thick resistant walls which enable them to survive even in unfavorable conditions. During the growth of the fungus, that is rhizopus, small rounded bulb-like structures develop at the top of the erecta hyphae. Such structures are called sporangia. Inside each sporangium, nucleus divides several times. Each nucleus gets surrounded by a little amount of cytoplasm to become spore. Large number of spores are formed inside each sporangium. After some time, sporangium bursts and spores are released in the air. When these spores land on food or soil, under favorable conditions they germinate into new individuals. Example is rhizopus or bread mold. Vegetative propagation. In fact, it is a method of propagation in those plants which have lost their capacity to produce seeds or they produce non-viable seeds. Example banana, seedless grapes, rose, pineapple, etc. Among flowering plants, every part of the body such as root, stem, leaf or bud takes part in vegetative propagation. Vegetative propagation by roots in sweet potato, stem in potato, bryophyllum leaf showing adventitious buds, bulb of onion, rhizome of ginger by stem. Artificial methods of vegetative propagation are man-made and developed by plant growers and horticulturists for commercial production of crops. Some common artificial methods are cutting, layering, and grafting. What is cutting? The small piece of any plant organ, such as stem, root, or leaf, used for propagation is called cutting. Stem cuttings are most commonly employed for propagation of many plants like rose, sugarcane, etc. In this method, about 20 to 30 centimeter long pieces of stem are planted in natural position in the wet soil. It gives off roots, form the lower end and shoot buds. From the aerial nodes, a cutting develops a new plant similar to the parent plant. Next is layering. In layering, the roots are artificially induced on the stem branches before they are detached from parent plant for propagation. Layering is done by two methods, mound layering and air layering. Several plants like jasmine, strawberry, guava, lemon, China rose that is hibiscus and several others can be grown through this method. Next is grafting. In this method of obtaining a superior quality plant from two different plants by taking the root system of one plant and shoot system of another, the plant whose root is taken is called stalk, while the plant whose shoot system is taken is called as scion. Thus, grafting is a method in which cut stems of two plants, stalk and scion, are joined in such a way that they develop into a single plant. We have completed asexual mode of reproduction. Next, sexual reproduction. What is sexual reproduction? Sexual reproduction may be defined as production of offsprings, that is new individuals, by the fusion of two gametes, usually one from male parent and the other from female parent, to form a diploid zygote which develops into mature organism. In flowering plants, all the steps of sexual reproduction occur within specialized reproductive organs called the flowers. Yes, flowers are the reproductive organs of the plants. Thus, a flower may be defined as a specialized condensed reproductive shoot of the plant which encloses the essential reproductive parts. Flowers in which both male and female reproductive parts are present, example hibiscus and mustard, these are called bisexual flowers. The flowers in which only a single sex organ, either male or female, is present, example papaya or watermelon, are called unisexual flowers. Structure of a typical flower includes calyx, that is sepals, corolla, petals, androecium, stamen male, and gynoecium female, that is called as pistil or carpel. What is pollination? The process of transfer of pollen grains from anther to the stigma is called pollination. There are two types, self-pollination and cross-pollination. The transfer of pollen grains from the anther to the stigma of the same flower or to the stigma of another flower of the same plant is known as self-pollination. The transfer of pollen grains from anther of a flower of one plant to the stigma of a flower of another plant of the same species is called cross-pollination. Cross-pollination occurs in unisexual as well as bisexual flowers. Pollinating agents are wind, water, insects, birds, etc. Fertilization. Pollination results in deposition of related pollen grains over the receptive stigma of the carpel. They absorb water, swell, and then germinate to produce pollen tubes. Many pollen tubes grow in the stigma, but only one passes through the style and then moves towards the ovary. Two non-motile male gametes are formed inside the tube during its growth through the style. Next, we are moving towards sexual reproduction in humans. First, let us study about male reproductive system. It includes testes, scrotum, vas deferens, urethra, penis, accessory glands. Testes. The human male possesses two testes, which are primary reproductive organs lying outside the abdominal cavity. The two testes are male gonads, which are the sites where male gametes, that is sperms, are produced. The testes also produce the male sex hormone, that is testosterone. The testes of man produce sperms from puberty onwards throughout his life. Scrotum. It is a pouch of skin which is divided internally into right and left scrotal sacs by a muscular partition. The two testes lies in the respective scrotal sacs. The scrotum act as a thermoregulator and provide an optimal temperature for the formation of sperms. The sperms develop at a temperature of 1 to 3 degrees Celsius lower than the normal body temperature. Vas deferens. This is a straight tube about 40 cm long which carries the sperms to the seminal vesicles. The sperms are stored temporarily in the seminal vesicles where mucus and a watery alkaline fluid containing the sugar fructose mix with the sperms. The vas deferens along with the seminal vesicle opens into ejaculatory duct. Ejaculatory duct of two sides lead to the urethra and the junction of two remains surrounded by prostate glands. Urethra is about 20 cm long tube that arises from the urinary bladder to carry urine. It runs through the penis and opens to the outside through the male genital pore. The contents of two seminal vesicles and the sperms from vas deferens also join the urethra. Thus, the urethra carries urine from the bladder as well as sperms from the vas deferentia through the penis. Penis. It is a long and thick muscular organ made up of mostly erectile tissue. At the time of sexual excitement, the erectile tissue gets filled with the blood, causing the penis to become erect. It is inserted into the vagina of the female, where the sperms are ejaculated for the purpose of reproduction. The sperms are tiny bodies that consist of mainly genetic material and a long tail that helps them to move towards the female germ cell, that is ova. Male accessory reproductive glands. Beside testes, certain accessory glands are present which remains associated with the male genital tract. These are seminal vesicles, prostate gland, and Cowper's glands. Seminal vesicles. The function of seminal vesicles is to store sperms and to produce viscous fluid which stimulates uterine contraction to help the sperms move forward into fallopian tube of female. Prostate gland. Through small ducts, prostate gland pours its secretion into urethra. Prostate gland secretes milky fluid which helps in the mobility of the sperms. Cowper's gland are pair of extremely small glands located at the floor of pelvic cavity. They open into urethra by small ducts. These glands secrete an alkaline fluid into urethra that neutralizes acids from urine. This decreases the number of sperms damaged during ejaculation. Next is female reproductive system, ovaries, fallopian tubes, that is oviducts, uterus, vagina. Female reproductive system is more complex as compared to that of males. Ovaries. Each human female contains two almond-shaped ovaries located in the lower part of abdominal cavity near the kidneys. Each ovary is connected by a ligament to uterus. The ovaries are primary sex organs or female gonads which perform the dual function, the production of female gametes, that is eggs or ova, and the secretion of female sex hormone estrogen and progesterone. A mature ovary contains a large number of ova in different stages of development. The formation of ova begins in female fetus even before birth. At birth, each ovary contains about 2 to 3 lakh immature eggs. One mature ovum is released from either of the ovary at the interval of every 28 days. The process of release of ovum from ovary is called ovulation. The fallopian tubes or oviducts. These are paired tubes originating from uterus. One of either side, fallopian tubes extend up to ovary of their respective sides. The terminal part of fallopian tube is funnel shaped with finger like projections called fimbriae lying near ovary. Next, uterus. It is a single pear shaped, highly muscular, hollow structure present in the pelvic cavity, lying between the urinary bladder and rectum. Development of fetus occurs inside the uterus, hence it is called womb. The narrower lower part of uterus is called cervix, which leads into vagina. Vagina. It is a tube which is about 7 to 10 centimeter in length. During intercourse, penis is inserted into vagina for the discharge of sperms. Vagina acts as a birth canal during childbirth, that is parturition, and also serves as passage for menstrual flow. Next, fertilization. Fertilization is internal in human beings. The sperms produced in testes of male are transferred into vagina of female through penis during the intercourse. Several million sperms are released during a single ejaculation. Fertilization takes place inside the fallopian tube. The ovum released from the ovary during ovulation is swept into adjacent fallopian tube. Sperms received by vagina travel to the egg present in fallopian tube by the lashing movement of their tail. A single sperm enters into egg. Fusion of nucleus of sperm and nucleus of ovum marks the completion of fertilization. Fertilization results in formation of single-celled zygote. The zygote then undergoes repeated mitotic division to increase the number of cells in zygote to form embryo. After 4 to 5 days, the embryo descends. By 8 to 9 days of fertilization, specialized tissue of fetus and uterine wall of the mother forms a structure called placenta. Placenta is a physiological connection between the embryo and uterine wall of the mother through which nutrients and other useful substances enter into the fetus from the mother's blood, and the waste products like urea and carbon dioxide are expelled into mother's blood from the fetus. The complete development of fetus from the initial stage of conception till the birth of the young one is called gestation. It is also termed pregnancy. Gestation is completed in about 280 days or 40 weeks from the first day of last menstruation. Gestation is followed by parturition. Parturition is the act of expelling the full term young one from the mother's uterus at the end of gestation. Next topic is reproductive health. According to the WHO, that is World Health Organization, reproductive health means a total well-being in all aspects of reproduction, that is physically, emotionally, socially and behaviorally. Some of the aspects included and required to be studied under reproductive health are overpopulation, knowledge of reproductive organs and STDs, that is sexually transmitted diseases, awareness about reproductive and sex education, birth control devices, care of mother and child, prevention of sex abuse and sex related crimes. STDs, sexually transmitted diseases. The infectious diseases which are spread from an infected person to a healthy person by a sexual contact are called sexually transmitted diseases. Human beings suffer from over 30 different kinds of sexually transmitted diseases. They are usually caused by bacteria, protozoa and viruses. The common among them are gonorrhea. Gonorrhea is caused by a bacterium, Neisseria gonorrhea. It is the scientific name. Victim feels burning sensation and pain during urination. The disease causes inflammation of the mucous membrane of the urinogenital tract, rectum, throat and eye. There may be pus from the penis and excessive secretion of vagina. It spreads by sexual contact and through infected clothes. The disease is easily curable with the antibiotics. The next one is syphilis. Syphilis is caused by a bacterium, Treponema pallidum. The disease is a chronic illness which affects the mucous membrane in genital, rectal and oral regions and cause lesions. Infection occurs by a sexual intercourse and occasionally by kissing or close body contact. Syphilis is easily cured with the antibiotics. AIDS, acquired immunodeficiency syndrome. The disease AIDS is caused by a virus called HIV, that is human immunodeficiency virus. It is a fast spreading incurable disease which weakens the body's immune system. The main symptoms of the disease are damage to the brain, unexplained fever, unexplained loss of appetite, unexplained loss of weight over a short time, chronic diarrhea, cough, night sweats, shortness of breath, and severe weakness. Spread of disease. AIDS is transmitted only by unprotected sex with an infected partner, use of contaminated needles and syringes to inject drugs or vaccines, use of contaminated razors for shaving, transfusion of infected blood or blood products. December 1st is celebrated every year as World's AIDS Day to spread information about AIDS among the public. Next topic is contraception. Contraception is the avoidance of pregnancy. There are several methods of contraception. These methods are broadly categorized as follows: surgical method, vasectomy in males, tubectomy in females. What is vasectomy? This is a small surgical operation performed in males. It involves removal of small portion of sperm ducts or vas deferens by surgical operation. The two cuts ends are then ligated or tied with the threads. This prevents the sperms from coming out. So this is vasectomy. Tubectomy, this is a surgical operation performed in females. It involves removal of a small portion of fallopian tube or oviducts by surgical operation. The cut ends are then tied with the threads. It prevents the egg or ovum to enter the uterus. Barrier methods. These are physical devices to prevent the entry of sperms in the female genital tract during copulation. They also protect against STDs. Some common barriers are condom, femidom, diaphragm. Chemical methods. Foam tablets, jellies, pastes, creams and spermicides are some common chemicals used by females. These are placed in vagina. These chemicals adhere to the mucous membrane and immobilize and kill the sperms. Oral pills are also used to check ovulation. These are mainly hormonal preparations and contain estrogen and progesterone. They are called oral contraceptives. Next, IUCD, that is intrauterine contraceptive devices. These are contraceptive devices made of copper, plastic or stainless steel. A copper T is inserted in the uterus by practicing doctor or a skilled nurse and left in place. It prevents the implantation in uterus. The other intrauterine contraceptive devices are loop, spiral ring, bow and shield. These can be placed for a long period up to 5 years. The drawbacks associated with these devices are bleeding and discomfort. IUCDs may come out even without the woman's knowledge. Natural methods. These methods include abstinence, avoid copulation, rhythm method, avoid copulation around the time of ovulation, and coitus interrupts, withdrawal of penis before ejaculation. So this is about concept map, definitions, examples and explanation of how do organisms reproduce. I hope this video will be an excellent guide and will help the students to face the exam with confidence. All the best.